Hello fellow survivors, and welcome to another Interloper video. This time a quite short one, a walkthrough on how to survive just one day in Interloper. Now why one day? Well, because there is an achievement to survive just one day on Interloper, and only 5% of people have that achievement. That's a little misleading because it's actually 5% of people who own the game and not everyone actually plays Interloper or even survival mode. So it's not exact 5 players, it's probably more than that. 5% that is, but nevertheless, sometimes people want to just survive for the day and that's it, or get through the first day and then move on. Now on this channel I have multiple tutorials on how to survive long term on Interloper for hundreds of days and mastering the spawns and all that sort of thing. Today we're just going to keep it a bit more simple and just see what you do right in the beginning to stay alive. So if you're new to Interloper and don't want to watch a 12-hour walkthrough, then this video might be more for you. And we're doing this on my alternate account, which does not have the tails installed. So this is vanilla Long Dark. There's no tails here, which means there's no ptarmigan, no frontier cooking, and a few other things. However, those things are more extra stuff for the game. You should, if you like the Long Dark, you really should get the DLC. It's really, really good and absolutely worth the money if you like the Long Dark. It adds so much to the game, but it's not essential for you to survive in the Long Dark. So what we're going to do today, we're going to start a new Interloper run, and I'm just going to walk through how we do it in terms of surviving the first day and pretty much planning what you're going to do from that point on. I will say that there are 2 spawns that I'm not going to do. The first one is Blackrock. If I get Blackrock, I'm just leaving it because a lot of people don't like Blackrock. It's the least favorite region and a lot of people just quit if they spawn there. I would rather make a separate video on how to survive in Blackrock, and I have some Interloper runs where I have spawned in Blackrock and survived as well, including one where I wasn't allowed to use torches. And that's called the Torchless Craftsman Challenge. And the other one is Hushed River Valley. Hushed River Valley is the best Interloper spawn you can get. If you know your way around there, you can get crazy gear on day 1. It's ridiculously strong once you know what to do. And again, I have a tutorial where I show how strong Hushed River Valley is. But other than those 2, we can spawn anywhere really. And I'm just going to show you how to survive one day, maybe 2 days, depending on when we spawn. Just to get sort of like your footing. That's over the rest of the run. Now, we're going to play as female, as usual. Now, technically, these aren't Will and Astrid anymore, even though we call them that. They are male and female, but male, they grunt a lot, a bit noisy. Female is just better. And then Scurvy, you can choose to have this on or off. We're going to have it on, but it doesn't make any difference for this video. If you have the DLC, you also get the Cougar and the Trader, which is fun. But for this purpose, that doesn't matter. And we're just going to call this one day. And let's just hop in and see where we end up. All right, let's get to it. Okay, we got a pretty good spawn, which is one of the hardest spawns that you can get, which is Fallen Muskeg. A lot of people struggle with this one because there's not much true Fallen Muskeg. And as you can see, our meters are draining really fast. Look how fast the coal is going down. That's because it's still fairly early in the morning, which is the coldest part of the day. In fact, it is -25. We don't have a lot of gear, pretty much just, at least we got shoes on, but we don't have hats and gloves. And we're in the middle of nowhere. So what do you do now? Well, if you know the map, of course, things are a lot easier because you know where everything is, and that makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to play things a little bit different today. More like, I can't pretend I don't know the maps, but I can make things harder for myself. A good example is over here, this hut, and let me explain. Before we do that though, you are in a region that has a lot of cattails. The first thing you want to do is just grab everything. The key to surviving Interloper is basically in the beginning you got to keep moving and loot everything pretty much. And that's it. So these cattails are great because they give food, 150 calories, great, which also is vitamin C. And they give a tinder, the cattail head, which is tinder. So you want to grab as many of these as you can. This will give you food. And you want to run. Now, some people say you should never run in this game because you get tired so quickly. Well, that's not true, especially in the early game and especially in Interloper because you get cold so fast. So you want to keep moving. So you want to walk and run. And you want to pick up some stones. At least always have 2 stones at you at all times because you need the stones to scare off walls with fire and also distract walls. We can get across here if you think we can. Yeah. If you can't, if you're too scared to make that run, just go around over there. It's fine. There's some more cattails. And now this particular hunter's line here can have really good loot, which I'm hoping it doesn't, but you can actually find matches and hacksaw in this one. Pick up some more stones. And there's a scrap metal we can use for arrows later. Wood, we'll take that. Check the backpack for random loot.
This stuff will come in handy.
Got a book, and in here we have the Polaroid, which is nice. That is the one that is to the north. And we got some lantern fuel and food, and also jerry can. I guess we can take the jerry can. But we didn't get matches or hacksaw, which is good because that makes it a bit harder for me. Some runs I've done before, I've actually gotten both right away, so you spawn with basically that. Now, in Full On Muskie itself, if you do spawn here, you do have several options. You do have the bunker that's up there. You have the farm over there, which used to have guaranteed matches. You have the poacher's camp over there, and some other places too. There's a cave over there to Bleak Inlet, which in case you want to go there. But for now, you just want to find shelter. So let's say you don't really know your way around. If you spawn in Full On Muskie, what you really want to do is get to the tracks to get out of this region. You don't want to hang around there. You can survive in this region if you try. It is perfectly possible. I've done it. You also want to grab all the plants you can in the beginning, because these will be used for teas, and also grab sticks. So you're kind of grabbing everything really. And now we have frostbite risk because we don't have hats and gloves. So we want to try and remedy that as fast as we can. Let's head to the railroad tracks. Now on Interloper, you don't actually spawn in blizzards. I think it was possible to spawn in blizzards before. You can spawn at night. That's possible. But you won't spawn in a blizzard or anything like that. This weather is among the worst. If it was like this, heavy wind and kind of like thick snow with the reduced visibility, if it was this and nighttime, that's probably the worst spawn you can get in Interloper. Well, if you play something like a custom like Nogoa or Deadman's, then you can spawn in a blizzard. In fact, actually it's required you spawn in a blizzard. And you just want to make your way out of this region. And the general rule here is you got to keep moving. No matter where you spawn, you got to keep moving and keep moving from shelter to shelter so you can maintain your warmth, because what kills you really is the cold here. And you want to loot wherever you can on the way. It's no harm in having too many sticks or anything like that. And what you really want to do is find fire. Now there are guaranteed matches around in the world in Interloper. I don't remember all of them, but I know most of them. I'm one of those people who, I haven't studied the exact spawns for most of the world. I just play the game enough that I know most of it. I know where to check to find most things. But I don't know where things spawn. But it is possible to learn that if you want. You can look at something called loot tables, which will tell you for like where things are on an Interloper run. But I'm not going to do that. But the rules are pretty simple. Most loot that you need, and I'm talking about hacksaw, that sort of thing, matches, bedroll, that sort of stuff, they all tend to spawn in sort of high-end loot locations. Things like camp office, or trappers, or the dam, or the farmhouse, or the mountaineer's hut, and so on and so forth. And sure, there are some exceptions where they spawn in like a cave or in a high blind or something, but usually they are in high-end locations. So what you just want to do is find out where you are. If you don't know the maps, it's fine. Just find a landmark, find a shelter, and try and stick to that. If you don't know the maps, follow the roads, follow the train tracks to just keep moving and cover as much ground as possible and get warm and loot. The reason I'm picking up all these stones is because at the moment I don't have a deterrent against wolves. So if wolves come up to me, the only way to really get rid of them is to throw stones in their face. And very importantly, I might show it if this happens, but if it doesn't, if you throw a stone at a wolf and you don't have a torch, you have to throw it like this. Do not throw it like this. If you throw it like the second one here, when you aim, you will trigger a charge in the wolf. Whenever you aim a weapon at the wolf, no matter what the weapon is, if they've seen you, they will charge you. If you throw it the other way though, then they won't charge you. Okay, let's see. Frostbite risk is building up. Now, it just so happens that in Fallen Muskeg, there is actually a flare right here.
I'll take it.
Don't pick that up. So I can actually make a fire right here. And we also got this sweater. This is a message which I'm going to take. And I'm also take this charcoal. But I'm going to pretend that this wasn't here. Let's pretend that I came here and I don't know the maps. And this was a random building I came across. And I didn't know that that was there. Then, oh, well, then you got to keep going. Well, in that case, just follow the tracks. Get to shelter. Now I've been taking it slow. I've been picking up every stick I can find, every cattail I can find, and so on. But you can only do that in moderation, because you see, frostbite is setting in. I'm halfway there. I need to get to shelter to warm up. And there's a bear in front of us. Now bears are scary. If they attack you, they will do significant damage. They do like a percentage damage basically to you. There's a lot of cattails here. I'm not going to pick those up because for one thing the bear is in the way. For another, I got frostbite risk. And we want to avoid getting frostbite for sure. If you do get frostbite, then that is permanent. It's like one of the only afflictions in the game that can't be cured. If you get it, that's it, permanent. Permanent 10% damage loss. You can just outwalk the bear. You're faster than the bear. As long as you're not in charge range, the bear will not attack you. In this particular case, this train track will lead all the way to Mystery Lake. And Mystery Lake is the one region that you probably know. So you spawn in Fallen Muskeg, the tactic is pretty much just get to Mystery Lake. Alternatively, you can go to Milton. If you were to spawn somewhere else, if you spawn in Hush River Valley, you can do the same thing. You can just leave and get to Milton. Lots of shelter there. Spawn on Desolation Point. There's several buildings right there you can go into. Spawn Pleasant Valley. You can find a farmhouse at Thompson's Crossing pretty easily. Dim Wolf Mountain, you got to find a Mountaineer's hut. Ash Canyon, you usually spawn near the Angler's Den. There's always some sort of spawn close to where you start, except for in Fallen Muskeg. Now, I would like to loot more cattails there. There's a lot of cattails in Fallen Muskeg, but we have frostbite risk, and I need to get inside. Now we have to make a first choice. I have quite a high risk, so I'd like to take care of that. We can either go to Trappers or we can go to Camp Office. And I think I'm going to go to Camp Office because it's a little bit bigger, it connects to more things. Trappers used to be one of the best bases in the game, but now it's okay. We're just going to get to Camp Office before we get frostbite. So the problem is that if you do get frostbite, like I said, it is permanent, you can't get rid of it. If you were to get frostbite this early in the game, like a few hours into it, then I think you just got to decide yourself if you want to invest in this run or if you want to start again. Because maybe you don't want to go through with a run that long that has frostbite in it. So a lot of people will do is if they haven't even survived a day or two in the long dark in survival mode, they just restart. And you can do that. I've never actually had frostbite hit me that early, except for maybe when I was a new player. But it has happened later when I've forgotten, like maybe my gloves got shredded by a bear and I didn't notice that happened or something, and then I got frostbite. That has happened. Something like that, but usually doesn't happen. If you get a sense of how long this takes, now we're at 72, we were at 50 back there, it will probably be something like 80, 85 by the time we get to Camp Office. And again, like if you don't know the maps, just find a road or find the train tracks Train tracks are particularly good because train tracks go through almost the entire map. The train tracks in the Long Dark start in Coastal Highway and go through quite a lot of regions. They go through Ravine, and then Mystery Lake, Fallen Muskeg, and Broken Railroad. And if you have the DLC, it also goes through the Far Range Branch Line, Transfer Pass, and also the Zone of Contamination. So the train tracks go a really long way. A really long way. So that's something to keep in mind. That if you find train tracks, no matter what direction you take them, you will find something. You'll find either Mystery Lake in the camp office, or if you happen to go the other direction, which wouldn't be great. If you went the other direction, you probably would get frostbite, but you would eventually end up in the maintenance yard in Broken Railroad, which also is pretty decent loot-wise. Now almost there. You can see we're 83%, so we're very close. So they're outside, and even though it's very close, you probably have time to pick up a couple sticks on the way. You got to keep an eye on the timer to have a feel for how long is left. And the frostbite will cure itself if you cover the area, so if you get the hat and gloves. But it also go away if you warm up, or if you just sleep, stay indoors so it's warm. So let's go inside here. This is the camp office. Hopefully we're warm here, which we should be. We're actually barely not warm. And it's 89%. Let's see quickly if there is something to warm us up here, like a piece of clothing or something. If not, we will just sleep a little bit. Let's see, does this go up while we're in here? It's actually 0 degrees. Let's check out this corpse.
Nobody needs this anymore.
And t-shirt. There you go. Put the hat on. T-shirt is probably worse. Yeah. But at least now we're warming up. So now this frostbite risk is not going to go up anymore. More importantly, we actually found a hat. So frostbite risk for the head is going to go away completely. This will no longer be an issue. We do need for the gloves though. They're at 89%. We do need to warm up. But it's not going to increase in frostbite risk at the moment because we're warming up. Now, I like taking these notes, but actually don't read them. Now we can look around here for random spawns that would give us gloves, but if we can't find it, the other option is to break down curtains or blankets, and if you find a sewing kit, you can make gloves. So now you made it to your first shelter. See, that was kind of brutal, right? Because we spawned in the middle of Fallen Muskeg, and we basically decided to go to the tracks and get all the way here. And we almost got frostbite doing it, but as you can see, I still had 10% left, and I did things very slow. I was like talking and doing stuff. You probably could have gotten it much faster. Hypothermia risk is also very high, but now it's going to go down because we're warming up. Loot-wise, we have some books, some wood, tinder. Clothing isn't great, but food, we got some food, but we no water though, so we still need to find fire because we don't have matches. Now I do have matches out of this, but I'm going to pretend for the moment that I don't have this because it just makes it so much easier if you have that. Since I'm going to look for matches, so something spray can. I don't think we need that. Let's look around here. If you're not sure if something's behind these crates, remember you can go into safe house mode. Just move these things. That's perfectly possible too. Let's check inside here. Is there anything? Nothing. Okay. Take the charcoal. I like mapping, you see. This can do. Let's see what else we got. So in here we got a lot of cans. We don't need all these cans. Might hear my wife playing Overwatch, by the way. Then we have the cooking pot. That's I think that's always there. And you can check these for like random coffee and that sort of thing. See what we got. Looks like we got tea in here. That's for healing. You sleep. Under here you can find food sometimes. You got a can. Trade the radio will be here if you have the DLC. Another spray can. And then over here, let's see if we got anything here. We got another can. And some of this mag lens here. Doesn't look like it today. And here, there's actually a hook, I think it is. Here, hook. This hook is always there. So if you can find a line, you can make a fishing tackle. Or if you get some guts and cure it. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the camp office. And we got a lot of stuff we don't need here. So let's just sort that out first. We can put it in... We can actually just put it here to display it. So first of all, we don't need all these cans. We have a lot. As long as you have two... Actually, one can, because I have the cooking pot. And you do want to carry the cooking pot around, especially in the beginning. I'm going to take this one. And then we also have this t-shirt that we don't need. This is this cloth, really. A bit too many cattail heads, but we can leave that for now. The books, if you are going to keep this, if you found somewhere now there's going to be a base, you could leave the books for now. We can keep the books, I guess. Maybe keep one on us in case we want to read it while crafting something by a fire. Antiseptic, that's fine. We have a little bit of food, not a lot. We have no water. We don't need these spray cans. I don't think we need the whetstone, but we can bring that. I think the jerry can is a bit too heavy to carry around. I'm going to leave that here. And yeah, I guess that spread. Well, we can keep the scrap for now. Very light. Now, because we're barely warm at all, I'm going to sleep a little bit just to warm up. So let's sleep like 2 hours, for example. Alright, hypothermia risk is healed now. Frostbite risk went down 2, but not a lot. So now we're in a situation where we have to decide what to do. So we do have some food, and we probably could actually survive one day if we wanted to, but then that would be it. Now again, I do have this flare. I'm going to just pretend that I don't have it. In fact, I'm going to leave it behind because that was a guaranteed spawn, and we're not going to go for that for now. We're in Mystery Lake, which is the one region most people know. So we have a few options there. We can go to Dam, we can go to Trappers, we can go to Lookout, we can go many places really, and just look for matches along the way. In fact, Mystery Lake is actually one of those places that, as far as I know, do not have any guaranteed matches. It's one of the only regions that don't have it. There are places nearby you can find them though. If you take the cave by Trappers into Milton, go through that cave, on the other side, before you climb the rope up to Milton, there is a cave there, and that cave has matches in it always. If you go to Follow Musk, you get that flare. If you go to Pleasant Valley, there's matches in the rural store. But you sometimes will find random flares and stuff like that. So let's just keep going as if we didn't have this flare. Now, what I think I would do here, if this was me, and let's say you spawned in Fallen Muskeg, but you just didn't realize you could pick this up, or you somehow got it without we missed this flare, or maybe you're somewhere else and you didn't find it. What you want to do now is find water. So what has water? Toilets have water. So what you want to do is go and get toilet water, basically. And where do you get that? You get that in the dam. So we need to go to the dam because they have water. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the dam. Let's just keep moving. We can go via the lake overlook cave because there might be something there. So let's do that. Hopefully we can get there without getting frostbite. We're going to go up here. We could alternatively go to the lookout first. In case this matches, then we can warm up there too. Maybe that's an idea actually, to go to the lookout tower. Tell you what, yeah, let's do that. Let's go to the lookout tower first, change the plan. Lookout tower is a good place in between because my frostbite risk is 75. It's possible that I can't make it to the dam without getting frostbite. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. So instead we're going to go to the lookout tower. And worst case, we can stay there. It's a warm enough place. Now it's a bit later in the day, and later in the day things are warmer. As you can see, it's -4 degrees, which is tropical, you know, barely warm at all, barely cold at all. Frostbite risk at the moment is currently okay, but sometimes frostbite risk bugs out and it doesn't move, but in secretly it actually does move. Now you could kill a rabbit here. The problem with killing a rabbit early game is that you will then attract wolves. So if you're going to be moving around, then that's a pretty high risk. You will be attracting wolves everywhere you go. Now the way I'm playing it here is very conservative. I'm playing it very sort of carefully, and I'm pretending I can't find stuff to make it sort of like, how would you survive in this situation if that was you? And if I was playing how I normally play, I wouldn't play like this. I would just grab a bunch of rabbits and I would harvest them in the camp office, and I would use my flare to light a fire, and I would chain that fire for ages. I would play completely differently. This is more aimed at kind of like, imagine you're a player who don't really know your way around that well. Let's go, by the way, it's up this way. We're going to go this way because this takes you to the plane crash. Oh, come on. Yeah, there's a plane crash that was added with part 3 of the DLC. Yeah. And you can find little bits and bobs there. Some there's nothing, some there's something. But there's a corpse here. So there's that. And feather, feather, and feather, which you're going to take. Because you need that for arrow crafting. You can go inside here. You can see if there's anything to open, or on the floor, which there isn't. You're actually warm in here, by the way, which is nice. Only in the late day, though, because it's 3 degrees. We got gloves. Look at that. Wow, thanks. The gloves is actually what we need. That's what we're missing. This is a bit silly. I'm not sure we can actually pick this up. There we are. There. Driving gloves. And now we actually don't get frostbite risk anymore. So now you have both of these covered, and you don't get frostbite risk. So we're great. And then we also have these hatches to check. There's very little loot, really, in these crashed planes. Okay, let's continue. And again, we don't have water. The only water we have is this sardine one we found. If you're an experienced player and you'd like to have a sense of being lost in Long Dark, there is a mod that you can get that basically randomizes loot, so that everything you know is guaranteed, like the matches and all that stuff, that's randomized, and then it changes it a little bit. And in fact, you could argue that I should maybe try that, install that as a mod and give that a try, and that would be fun. Maybe I should do that one day. Let me know in the comment if I should do that one day. Do an Interloper run with the mod that randomizes everything, so there's no guaranteed matches or anything like that. Let me know if you want me to do that. Okay, so here at the lookout tower. You go inside, and it should be warm in here. This is the same as an indoor location. Not very warm, but it is warm. And we have sewing kit too.
This stuff will come in handy.
I think there usually is a sewing kit up here, but I don't think it's guaranteed. It's just common. We have dog food, we have sardines. We still don't have fire. We got a book, I guess. Antibiotics. Koru. And there's a box I missed.
I'll take it.
Arrow shaft. And we got matches. Random matches. There you go. Now things are coming up my house. And I'm going to utilize that. Now we have found 2 fire sources, but now let's look at the weather outside. Okay. I'm going to keep making my way to the dam, just to illustrate my point, and then we can change from there. But you see the principle, you go from location to location, from loot area to loot area. Here, by the way, I'd recommend goating down, because even though goating can be dangerous and scary, you can goat almost everywhere in the game, but here it's such an easy one. You just go across this fence here, and you see this big rock, you can't really miss it. You can just pretty much walk almost straight forward. And it's very easy to just hop down these little rocks.
I could eat a horse.
See? And then if you do this, You're already down on this side. You don't have to go all the way around. And this takes you down to derailment. Alternatively, you can go left here. There's some trailers down there, but let's leave those for now. Now, if there's walls, you're gonna have to be a bit careful. But you're gonna be okay. Now, there is a blizzard coming now, probably, because it's heavy snow. It's building up for something big. Probably get a blizzard. We can just hop down here. But again, follow the train tracks now. The train tracks will take you all the way to Carter Dam. Hey, look. It's the episode 5 tree right there. Actually, it might not be that one. Well, it's that type of tree anyway. Maybe it is that one. I can't remember. No, it's not the right one. This is the one. You can see it there. You can find it, that tree all over the place once you look. Yeah, that's the episode 5 tree. That one there.
My tongue feels like sandpaper.
I think. Actually, no, it's not that one. It's kind of unique. It's very big. It's a big one of these birch trees. And once you look, you'll see it. But anyway, enough about that. But again, if you have bad visibility like this, I don't like that these books exist in Interloper, you know. Hey, bedroll! See, this is one of those things. I don't know all the bedroll locations. I know some of them. But I never studied it. But this is why you should check everything. Check everything along the way, assuming you have time to do it. I have frost hypothermia risk, but that's okay. Now we have bedroll.
I think I can use this.
If I didn't find the bedroll, then yeah, gonna make things much harder, but I'm actually not going to use it for the purpose of this video. And again, you follow the train tracks, because these train tracks go all the way to Carter Dam. So if the blizzard had hit now, and you lose visibility, and you can't see where you're going, it doesn't matter. Follow the train tracks. And you follow the Jurassic Park rule, you know, follow the power lines. Power lines will eventually wear off and go into a building. Now keep an eye out here, because there can be wolves. One in particular. I always forget his name. Scooter, is that it? Down here there's also birch. Birch bar. Used to be a moose spawn, but not anymore. And down here I think it's a corpse. No, it's a moose. It's a deer. Now in here, one thing that's important is that you can't actually sleep in the dam. You have to sleep in the trailers, but we'll do that after. We're going to take advantage that there's still some daylight and see if we can go inside it. So let's imagine now that I'm going to use these matches, because now I found random matches. I've been searching several places, and ignoring that flare I found, we now found some random matches. And if you are in Mystery Lake, that's your best bet. Find a random match or a flare, because there are no guaranteed ones. But you will find them though. They're kind of like, I call them regional guarantees. I don't know if that's a thing or it's just pure chance, but I find that you always find matches in every region, even if they're not guaranteed. You just find them randomly here and there. Okay, here we are on the dam. First, just look around. There should be a couple of things to loot here, like the suitcase, this trash can, these drawers, of course. The dam is massive. There's a lot to loot in here. We're not going to do all of that because it's just so big. But just tons of stuff to loot in here. Then you have these two as well. One is probably locked. Oh, boots.
Handy.
Those are, I think, the best boots you can get on Interloper. Yeah, decent. Okay, now, here, problem. Not a lot of light. So if you are here and you need to navigate a dark place like the dam, ever since December 2024, we have safe house mode. So in this particular case, you can just click Y on the computer, and this is what you get. And now you can navigate in the dark. So the safe house mode inadvertently basically gave you night vision. If you want, you can just not use it, and then you effectively achieve not doing that. If that was the case, back in the day, the way we used to do it was that we used to drop something big, like for example, maybe like the biggest I have on me is like my trousers, for example. And then I would navigate around here, trying to find the edges of things. And it's a bit of a pain to do. So yeah. So instead you get safe house mode, and if you're on the dam, you know, I happen to know where everything is, but in this particular case, the only thing that really matters is if you go to the right, you have the toilets down here, and you just go in through, you just go straight. See, I didn't even move, I just went straight, turned to the right and walked straight, and you end up in here, which is basically a door, which I can destroy if I want to, apparently. But that's not neither here nor there. What we want is the toilet. I think there's one here. Toilet, see? Right next to this trash can here. Doesn't show up on the vision, but it is there. Just gotta look around a little bit if you miss it. Yeah, here, around here. Toilet. You click on the toilet and you take all the water. Water goes fast. And then same thing, safe house mode. And there's another one over here. See the handrails. It's again trash can. It's next to the trash can. So here, toilet, take all the water. For context, just to show what I've just been doing in the dark, I'm going to light a match just so you get a feel for what actually happened here. I came in through this door, walked over to this trash can, I took the toilet water, then I walked over here and I took that toilet water, and that's it pretty much. And this is where I came from. Even if you didn't know safe house mode, you probably should be able to do this in the dark. It's not too hard. And that's it for now. So now we got that. There is more dam to loot, but we need more lights. We need more daytime, or we need a torch. So let's now sort this out. Let's go back to the trailers, and I think I'm going to pass time through the night and sort some stuff out. Now we have fire, so it's a lot easier, but still going to just sleep through it. There's actually 2 different beds in these trailers. One that's very bad, I wouldn't use unless you have to, which is in here. It's like one of those floor beds, which is here. Only use this if you have to, because it's worse than the other beds. But let's look around. It's a bit dark, but we can still see a little bit. There's not much loot there, but you can find the odd bits and bobs, like here. There's a Pinnacle Peaches.
I can use this.
Peaches weigh a lot for what they give you, but it's food. And then here we have first aid kit. Now, importantly, look at my hunger meter. I've been dehydrated for a while, and I'm about to go hungry. A lot of people panic. They say, like, oh god, I'm about to run out of food and water, I'm going to die. The truth is, as long as you're not cold, you're probably going to survive for a long time. Hunger, if you get hungry, you actually only lose 1% health per hour-ish. These aren't precise numbers, but it's like 1 point or whatever. Let's round it up, or like simplify it to 1%. Dehydration is 2. So even if you have both of those depleted, in 10 hours, which is like the daytime, so to speak, you only lose 30% of your health. So you'll be fine. What really kills you is the warmth. Now, with the hunger, you can go for well fed. Now, I don't have that much food. I have some. And if I want, I can eat all of this and then go out the next day and look for more and maintain well fed. And if you're an experienced player, you can easily do that. So I do that in a normal Interloper run when I play. I always go for well fed from day one, because I just know where everything is. I have a feel for how to scavenge food, and then I have a goal for foraging. So it's not difficult for me as an experienced player to go for well fed on day one. But if you're not that experienced and you feel like you're in a situation now where, okay, I moved on, I'm still alive, meters are low, I have some food, but you're not sure what the next day is going to bring, then don't eat all of it. What you instead want to do is eat enough to regenerate health when you sleep. Before we do that though, let's look around. It's a bit dark here, but there should be a few things to loot. Yeah, it's very hard to see, but you can also just look around like that. It's a first aid kit. You can always loot the rest in the morning. There should be some stuff around here. It's a locker. One is locked. Hey, windbreaker. That on. And there's some dog food over there. No, it's pork and beans. Okay. And I think somewhere here, container in the dark between the beds. Okay, that's it for now. So, what we're going to do now, we're going to recover some health. It's getting late. And there are different things you could do now. Now, we haven't started the fire.
Dying from starvation.
If we did have one, we could make a herbal tea, which increases your health regeneration. Not by a lot, but like 6%, something like that. So you heal a little bit. These beds are decent. You heal, I think you get plus 5% from these beds, I think. So normally when you sleep a full night in Interloper, and a full night in Interloper, by the way, is 10 hours. You cannot sleep more than 10 hours. If you sleep more than 10 hours, you become dehydrated and you start losing health. So you basically, and actually you get dehydrated sort of between 9 and 10 hours, but it's still beneficial to sleep 10 hours because there are sleep multipliers. The longer you sleep, the more you regenerate. If you sleep 1 or 2 hours, you just heal 1% per hour. But if you sleep 3 hours, you heal 2% per hour after those 2 hours and so on, right? It sort of stacks and eventually reach 5% per hour healed. If you're on Stalker or Voyager, you can sleep 12 hours and you regenerate pretty much your entire health. On Interloper, the best you can do is about 32% health. So effectively 1/3 of your health can be regenerated in a sleep. If you have herbal tea, you get another +6. These beds I think give another +5. Trapper's bed is a magical bed. They also give +5. If you can craft a bearskin bed, which requires woodworking tools, that's a ridiculous one. It gives like 64% or something like that. And of course, there's birch tea. You can also drink birch tea before bed and that recovers, I think it's 5% across 2 hours or something like that. So there's multiple ways you can boost regenerating health during sleeping. So it's the type of bed, herbal tea, and birch tea basically is what impacts it. You have to have enough calories and water. So in this particular case here, we're warm. And we want to regenerate. We're tired. We probably can sleep 10 hours. So what we're going to do now, we're going to eat. Now there is a risk that if I eat these, I actually get food poisoning. But if that happens, I do have antibiotics. It would suck if that happened. But I think we'll take the risk. Let's see. If you do get it, what you have to do is take the antibiotics and sleep for 10 hours and then it resets. Now, you also have a choice to make here. See these cans here. These cans, opening these cans without losing food requires a can opener, alternatively a knife or a hatchet. If you have one of those 3 things, you can open these and you get the full content of the food. If you don't have that and you open these, you will smash open the food and you will lose some calories because you're basically destroying it and it's spilling some food. You also do not get the recycled can if you do that, okay? That's one thing you have to think about. So what you can do if you want, you can hold on to these until you actually have a can opener and then you get more food. However, arguably, it's not really worth it because you tend to lose like 15-20% of the content. By the time you have a can opener, now remember, you have to craft knives and hatchets in Interloper, right? You have to craft them. You can't find them. So if you do find a can opener, and there are about maybe 6 can openers in Interloper, something like that. If you find one, sure, great. Then you can use it and you get the full reward. But if you don't have one, then you need to craft a knife or hatchet to open it. By then, when you have that, when you crafted that, you're probably close to being in a position where you're self-sustainable by hunting. And it doesn't really matter about the cans. So you have to make a choice if that matters to you or not. I don't care about it that much, but you do occasionally see me hoarding these things and opening it later just to get 20% more food out of it. The other choice you have to make is these 2 here, the peaches and the pork and beans. You can actually heat these up on a fire. And if you heat them up, you gain 2 things. One is you get hot food rather than cold, which gives you the warming up bonus, which basically protects you from cold. You don't get cold as quickly. The other thing it does is that you level up cooking. So you'll see cooking now should be 0, nothing. And you basically get 1 cooking up point by warming these up. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to eat these now or do I want to eat them later in front of a fire? Do I want to smash them open or not? Now for me, Pinnacle Peaches, if you have DLCs, you can use this for cooking, although you can also trade them with a trader. But I think I would eat these. Why? Because if you look, dog food, for example, weighs 0.3 kilos and you get 500 calories. Or this one here, 0.25 kilos, 600. This one weighs twice as much as pork and beans, twice as much, and you get a lot less calories, or 25% less calories. So this one is one of the worst foods in terms of weight to calorie ratio. So I'm gonna eat this one, and you'll notice I'm gonna smash it. When I click eat, it's gonna smash open. See, it's smashing it. So I'm gonna get less food. It'll be a text saying how much I lost. It will go when I exit, I think it will say. If I exit, it will say at the screen at the top there, see, 29%, quite high this time, 29% was lost. So almost a third of the content was lost. I also don't get a can from it, but at least I got some food out of it, some hydration, and I don't have to carry that thing around anymore. Now, if you look, here is the calorie counter. If I took 10 hours here, you'll see I burned 750 calories. I have 800, so I'm fine. I also need water, and I took toilet water, so I'm hydrated. And then you click sleep 10 hours. And then we're going to be fine. Here we go. And let's sleep. These temperatures will not change because you're indoors. Indoor temperatures usually don't change. If they do very, very little, it's pretty stable. Doesn't matter what the weather is. Different than caves and stuff like that. But here, you should be fine sleeping 10 hours no matter what. So let's sleep 10 hours. There we are. 20 hours, we only have 4 hours left. Isn't that great? And it's early morning, so now actually it's really cold. If you go out now, you'll notice that I think it's a blizzard actually. You can see. Yeah, so it's a blizzard, and it's also early morning, which is the coldest part of the day. Minus 32 degrees. Let's not do that, you know. So we have a few other things we can do instead. Now again, you have to make a choice here. So yeah, we have recovered quite a bit of health now. We are at, I might even say here, we're at 73. We went from 36 to 73. So we recovered about 40, and that's because of this bed. We recovered probably 37 to be precise. Or something like that. In any case, we can choose to eat some more food and avoid getting hungry, and if you do that for the next 3 days, you get well fed, and well fed will allow you to carry more stuff, and you also get 5% more health. What you really do want well fed for is the carry capacity. You get to carry more stuff. That's what you want it for. But if you're now in a situation, like I said, where you don't really know what the next day is going to bring, then you don't want to really consume all your resources. So what you might want to do is the starvation tactic, as it's known, which is that you don't really eat anything during the day, except for when it's time to sleep. We are going to drink though, because drinking is 2% per hour, which is effectively, by the time you sleep next, you will have lost 20, maybe even 30%. But food, you will have lost 10-15% of your health. And that's not that much. You can outsleep that, if that makes sense. So if you're low on food, just hold on to it. Don't worry too much that you're hungry. You can always get well fed later when you got a bowl. You know, it's not a big deal. Now, the weather outside is frightful, and in here it's quite delightful. And since we have no place to go, maybe let us sow. So you can repair something, but we didn't actually grab any cloth or anything. I'm not sure there is any cloth in it, and I can't believe that didn't worked out. What we can do, what you want to do now, if you're kind of stuck somewhere, you want to think about what can I do. And one thing you could do is you could read the book. Here's a sewing book or the fire book, right? The problem is if you do that, you have to keep your meters up, so I have to eat to do that. Alternatively, I have this. I haven't prepared these things. The old man's wound dressing, which you can use to prevent infection. It's the same as an antiseptic. We can craft that. And we can also craft these rosehip teas. Rosehips, so we can make teas out of that, which will allow us to level up cooking, cure headaches, and also give us warmth. And anything else to do? Not really, I guess. I think that's about it. We can now, we can only sleep another hour. So let's just do that. Let's just quickly have a look around, see if there's something I missed now that we can actually see. And it doesn't look like I missed anything. Blizzards will last usually about 3 to 5 hours. That's like the average. But it does happen that they last, you know, 2 days. But usually that doesn't happen. Usually. Okay. Fully rested. We're approaching 1 day survived. Still missing a little bit. But now I can hear that the blizzard is over. Okay. Should still be pretty cold though. Minus 16. Now you have a choice what to do. Some light. You can go back and loot Castle Dam. That'll be one thing. You can go loot somewhere else. You can go to Ravine. You can go back to camp office. Now that you have fire, you can start hunting rabbits. Now there's a lot of stuff you can do. But I'll tell you what the plan is. Let's go back inside so we can be warm when we talk about this. Now that you have fire, your goal now is to forge. That's what you need to do. Because to be properly self-sustainable here, you need to get a bow. So you need to find a hammer, and you need to forge with that hammer to make arrowheads. I would say at least 8 arrowheads. You can also you can survive without forging. It's perfectly possible, but it requires that you forage a lot for like cattails, and you fish and that sort of thing, and you hunt rabbits and that sort of stuff. Can be done for sure, but for like proper normal sustainable interloper, what you want is to forge. Now to forge, you need to find a hammer. Now hacksaw will help too, because if you have a hacksaw, you can go to places like the dam and break down metal shelves and things to get more scrap. So having a hacksaw will help a lot. Full-on Musket actually has a guaranteed hacksaw. You can find it somewhere there. And I do recommend when you forge, the best place to forge is Full-on Musket. Why? Well, there's only 2 places to forge really. Well, 3. There's Full-on Musket, Broken Railroad, and Desolation Point. And Full-on Musket is the only spawn that spawns you near a forge, but it doesn't matter. You don't get hammers at the forge. Broken Railroad at least had a 25% chance of having a hammer. I'm not sure that still applies. But anyway, there are 3 forges, which is Broken Railroad, Full-on Musket, and Desolation Point. As well as if you have the DLC, there's also one in Forsaken Airfield as well. Those are the 4. I don't think there's a 5th one I'm forgetting. Anyway, you need to get to one of those locations. But, sorry, it's useless without a hammer. Now, there's only about 6 hammers in the game or so, and it varies where they are. You will usually find one in something like Blackrock and or Tin Wolf Mountain, one in Pleasant Valley. You can find one in in Coastal Highway. You can find one in Mystery Lake, actually, in the dam. I can show you where there could be one. Mountain Town, I'm not sure if there is one. I think you can find one in the farm there. And Broken Railroad, not really there. And Hushtrue Valley has a guaranteed one. And the way to find one is just look around. Look in all the usual locations, you know, the farm and the barns and every building you can find, really. Just look in them until you eventually find a hammer. And look close, because it can be hidden. And in fact, seeing as we're here, let's just go into the dam and see if we can find one, because they can spawn in here. Varies where, but let's just have a look. What you want, because there's no point going foraging without the hammer. You have to find a hammer. And you then basically have 2 choices, which is basically make your way around the world and look for a hammer.
Damn it. So hungry.
Or you can go to Hushtrue Valley. And because I never bothered to learn the spawns of the hammers, I mean, I know roughly where they are, but I never bothered to learn it. I just usually go to Hushtrue Valley. So let's see, we don't have much light in here, but there's some. I think we might need to make a fire, actually. So what we're going to do, we're going to go downstairs, which is down there. We'll tell you what, let's make it a bit easier for the viewer. We're going to start a fire outside. We're going to grab some torches. It's a nice clear day. Let's light a fire next to, like, corner or something. Like, I don't know, here, for example. Now the first fire you light, now if I had kept the jerry can, I would have had a guaranteed chance there, but it's marginally not. The first one that you have to use a match. But the second fire you make, you can use a torch. So here if I fail this fire, I have to use a match again to try and light it. But if I succeed, the next time I can light a torch and I can just light the fire with a torch. Okay, so let's just put on this, and while we're at it, we might as well make a little bit of water, and also we can make the tea, and also we can cook this pork and beans. Let's put it next to the fire. Now we'll cook. We're smashing it open, but that's okay. 12 minutes, 15% lost. Okay, and then doesn't take that long now. And grab some torches. Now this is the early game, we don't have that many resources, so I'm going to take all the torches I can find. But normally I throw away the really bad ones. But I don't really... But this stage in the game I'm just going to take all the torches I can get. Normally the amount of torches you need declines as the game progresses. So in the early game I could have as many as 10 torches, and later it's something like... let's put a coal on it too. It's something like 3, and in the late game it's like 1, you know. Grab some more to it. Now I'm warming up as well because I'm near a fire. That's grabbing a bunch of torches here. This is almost ready. I think we can make another tea. That's ready, we can make another tea. Let's make a herbal tea actually. 15 minutes. So I have to make sure, take this as well, to make sure that there's enough fire here to make the water boil. Yeah, I think it's past time, I think. And then we're going to light a torch. And now, as long as this torch doesn't blow out, which it could, we can just use the torches to light the next fire. Now also I have a weapon against wolves. So I'm pretty safe. The only thing that really kills me is wind. So there's the dam, right? And like I said, the dam is massive. We're not going to loot this whole thing because then, you know, who knows? You can find all sorts of stuff. But in here, for example, you can actually find a hacksaw in here. I want to have a quick look in here. I can be on the desks and stuff. If I occasionally say something that's wrong, then it's probably because they changed the loot. Okay, but I'm not going to check out all this stuff. You can also check this workbench here for tools. Nothing there. Stone lantern, no. Okay, I'm not gonna loot everything else. This just takes too long for the purpose of this video. But normally in a regular run I would of course loot all this. Okay, so here where we want to go is to the lower levels. And that's across over here. As we're here, I might as well show you how you return into the dam, which some people don't know how to do. Let's show that. So in this door, by the way, you can also find some stuff. So if you get here, you should always turn around. Because it does happen, there's like arrows on the door, or there can also be a storm lantern on the floor. So it's worth checking that out. Okay, we're going to take the outside route just for the sake of illustrating. Let's check this microwave too. There can also be matches here sometimes, like right there. That sort of thing. Now, this is actually the exit of the dam. What happens is that sometimes people go through here, and then they're like, oh, no, I don't want to go. I want to go back in. And then like, oh, it doesn't open. That's because that's an emergency exit. So if you want to go back in, actually you have to go over there. Just so you know that. So we're going to go across. It looks dangerous, but it really isn't. Just hug the wall pretty much, and you will get across. Be a little bit wary that even if you fall, you're not going to die. You'll take a little bit of fall damage, and that's pretty much it. You can actually go all the way down to the bottom if you want to. You'll be fine. This torch is about to go out. So we're going to start a new torch. You can check these areas over here for loot too, on lower difficulties especially. Okay, let's grab a new torch. And just aim at the old torch with the new one. And you will light the torch. And then the way in is through this broken window up here. Yeah, now you get back in the dam, you just end up at the far end of it, which is here. And yeah, that's it pretty much. Here there's also like a lot of loot, like these random drawers and stuff. Which again I'm not going to check. There's a couple things of note though. If you go over here through this room, there's usually always tools here, and they tend to be under this one here. So you go over here and you look under, you see there's tools.
I'll take it.
Not essential to have, but it helps. Okay, so there's that. And then on here is where you want to start looking for hammers and hacksaws. You're entering sort of like a workshop. Including you want to check under here. Can happen. But more importantly, you want to check these workbenches and stuff over here. Let's just have a look. So over here, there's some like kind of like a work area type of thing. I'm gonna look around here for anything. They will be in the open. They will not be inside containers. On lower difficulties, you can open these things, and you can find hacksaws and hammers and stuff, or hatchets in those. On the Interloper, that will not happen. They will always be out in the open. Okay. So you got to keep your eyes peeled and look around to see if they're maybe under a bench or behind it or something. Anything like that. Doesn't look like there is anything today. No. There's nothing today. That means it's somewhere else. But it could still be in Mystery Lake. It could be in Trapper's Cabin, for example. That's one place it could be. But it's not here. But if you haven't found one, the dam is a good choice. And let's just head out of here now. And now that's basically your purpose from this point onwards. Your purpose now is to find a hammer. That's what you need to do. And you just gotta look around. You just gotta check everywhere until eventually you find it. That's really your main purpose now. Because while it's perfectly possible to sustain yourself without the bow, and I have done it, it's just much harder. And plus the bow also gives you protection. So there's that too. So what you want is to find the hammer so you can forge. And I'll tell you what, if we check our statistics here. Let's go here. I imagine that we have now survived for 1 day. Let's have a look. 1 day 2. But this is the day you're on, not how long you survived. Yeah, 1 day survived. Hurrah! We survived 1 day. Isn't that great? So there you have it. That's how you survive 1 day in Interloper. And as you can see, we're doing okay. We got fire, we got most stuff really. But I'll tell you what, before we end the video, let's just check quickly. Let's get to Trappers and call it there. And then we'll be entering day 2, but that's fine. Just to see if we can find a hammer here. And if not, then it is what it is. Now, you can see it's not that cold. It's -10. Well, if you're in shelter of the wind, it's not cold at all. But if you are in the wind, it's a little bit chilly. What you could do, is still early days, you could go back to the trail and sleep a little bit. You don't really need to. I think what I would do now is I would go back to camp office, maybe across the Lake Olaf, for example. But we can make it even easier. We can just head to Trappers via the train tracks here. And what we can do is we can check out the trailers and stuff and take the road to Trappers, so to speak, instead. The easiest way to get to Trappers if you're lost is to just follow these train tracks all the way to Fallen Muskeg, and then from there, once you get to the entrance of Fallen Muskeg, you just take a right and you hug the wall, and that's it. We're going to take a different route just so we can check out something along the way, just to see what we got. So instead of following the train tracks, we're going to do the logging route. The logging route is you go to the right here, and you basically follow this lumber route here. We're going to follow this path pretty much all the way to the unnamed pond, and that's it. Now I'm going to run a little bit. Okay, here's a wolf. Now, but this particular wolf, because I don't have any afflictions and I'm not heavy, I can actually just walk onto this wolf, once he sees me, that is. But the best way is to just throw a stone at them, or aim at them with a stone. But I just walk at this wolf. The reason that works is because the wolf doesn't see you as weak. So if you have a torch, you need to actually change this torch. If you have a fire source like a torch, if you have no afflictions or anything like that, then the wolf considers you a threat, and you can just walk at the wolf. But once you become weak, which usually means you have an affliction, that doesn't work. So if, for example, you're heavy, or you have a sprain, or you're bleeding, I think there's another one, but basically if you're encumbered or afflicted in some way or another, then the wolf sees you as weak, and that doesn't work. If that happens, you have to drop the torch by selecting a stone, aiming at the wolf, and that will scare the wolf away. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of shelter here, I think. We can pick up some more sticks. These trailers have like miscellaneous loot in them. You can also check out this destroyed house here. See if there's anything. And hopefully this won't blow out the torch, but if it does, it does. You could choose to sleep here a little bit, just to recover. But if you do that, the torch will blow out, so you do lose the fire. You have to use another match then afterwards. But you can check inside here quickly. Get a little breather. Scrap's good for forging, we'll take that. And, you know, if you now felt like, you know, I need a break, what you could do here, and, you know, you got matches, you got, how many matches have you got left? 10. So what you could do is you could now take a little break here for like an hour or two to warm up. So you could eat a little bit, like maybe you can eat this pork and beans that you smashed. Get your hydration up a little bit too. And then you can sleep for like 2 hours, say. There we are. And now if we go outside, one thing, we're fully warm, so we don't have hypothermia risk. And the weather's a bit better. Still windy, -9, but it's not the worst. And now, of course, if you do have to light a fire again, you have to use a torch. Light the torch, use a torch to light the fire. This area of Mystery Lake is the one that people go to the least, but this sort of logging area does have some interesting stuff. If you go up all the way up there to the edges, that's where you tend to find things like maple saplings and stuff like that. So that's something to keep in mind. There's also the bear spawn around here. There's little bits and bobs here and there. Rabbits, we're not going to grab any rabbits because, again, if you're not really sure where you're going and what you're doing, maybe grabbing rabbits isn't the best idea, just because it's going to make you smell for the wolves. Look at them crossing the road, isn't that cute? Alright. I guess we're not in a hurry now because it's only one chevron, it's -8, so it's going to take a while before we get cold. As you can see, we're doing quite well. We got okay amount of food and water and gear, enough that we are not too cold. You got to keep in mind also that the world has not yet gotten colder, so something to remember is that on Interloper the world gets progressively colder. it actually goes down by 20 degrees Celsius over the course of 50 days. So now on day 2 now, if this was day 50, this would be minus 28 instead. That's how cold Interloper is. However, it takes a while to get there. And while I never looked into it, my understanding is that this change happens every 10 days, not every day. It's not like every day it goes down, you know, 0.4 degrees, whatever that would be. Instead, it's something like every 10 days, the world dropped by like 5 degrees or something like that. Would that be right? 5, 10, 15, 20. Yeah, no, okay, but like 4 degrees, I guess it will be. So every 10 days, it goes down a little bit. And that means you can do something that I always call being ahead of the curve, ahead of the cold curve. Because if you can get clothing before like day 10, you can actually in the early game walk around an Interloper and you'll probably be warm, or at least not very cold. Yeah, the wolf saw me. If you want to get rid of these wolves, there's 2 ways to do that. One is to just walk the dog, as it were. Just let him be behind you. He's not going to do anything when he's behind you. Just ignore him. The other option is to light the torch. You can use a match to light the torch. Just for demonstration purposes. And again, we can just walk at the wolf like I showed you. But let's say you can't do that. Then what you do is you select your weapon. You can also click 2 on your keyboard. And then you just have the torch by your feet and you aim at the wolf. This triggers a charge. In this case, he kind of bugged out, I think. And he'll get scared. Don't worry, we'll find another wolf. Yeah. This will trigger a charge. As he gets closer, he runs away. Think of it as making yourself look bigger. And therefore he gets scared. That's how that works. So having a torch makes you really strong against wolves. Having a torch is light, it's fire, or starting a fire that is, it's deterrent, and also warmth. It gives you plus 4 degrees warmth. So that's why I'm warmer. Here's Maple, by the way. This cabin over there. Here's Maple right here. This cabin isn't a bad base because there's usually there can be a bear spawn near here. There used to be moose spawn as well, but not anymore. But there can be a bear spawn. So what you can do is you can grab the woodworking tools and you can build a workbench in here. And it's not too bad. It's kind of like a trapper's cabin. You got rabbits outside and deer, and then right over here is the pond where you have possible bear spawn and wolves and cattails. There's no fishing though, I'm afraid. Yeah, this is just cabin, doesn't have a name. Unnamed pond cabin, I guess I call it. If you want the woodworking tools, by the way, there are only 2 places to get those if you don't have the DLC. And that is, they are in Bleak Inlet. Have fun going there, but it's perfectly possible to do it without the bow. The other one is in Ash Canyon, all the way up in Miners Folly, so pretty much as far away as you can get. Those are the 2 places you can get the woodworking tools. If you have the DLC, you will also get woodworking tools in the Zone of Contamination. It's all the way at the top of the constructor building. I think that's what it's called. That's where they are. Technically there's 4 of them. If you actually do the tails themselves, when you do Buried Echoes, you eventually get a key to go to another mine area. And they also have woodworking tools there. So there's 4 of them really. Here's the unnamed pond itself, and there is a bear spawn chance here, which I don't think is active. Which is in this cave right here. You can check to see if it's active by looking for bones. And we don't have bones. So this is not the bear cave. And this pond has a hunter's blind. You do want to check hunter's blinds when you find them, because they sometimes have nothing, And sometimes they'll have like a hacksaw or bedroll or a book or matches. There can be really good stuff in the hunter's blinds, so check them when you can. I need to make more torches soon, I think.
Nobody needs this anymore.
We got nothing. And here's this rabbits as well. Lots of cat. Another thing actually you can do here. I didn't really do it now because I'm handling the trappers, but more food, right? Cattails. You can grab the cattails, and then you have more food.
I'm so hungry.
Now again, I'm playing quite careful here. I'm kind of like saving resources, doing things slow, just making sure that I'm safe and I will survive the next day, sort of thing. But if it was me playing as a veteran Interloper player, I would be doing quite differently. I would be grabbing, you know, rabbits here and there, and I put them to cure and get the rabbit cures going, rabbit pelts going, and all that stuff. So we're gonna hit the trappers now. We're basically taking the western approach. Trappers is right up ahead. And from there I'll tell you what is going to happen depending on what we find in trappers. This little area here can have a wolf or two in it. There is our that's our episode 5 tree over there, isn't it? I think it is. Once you notice, there's these trees all over the place. These big trees, birch trees. Maybe not. Can we tell from here? I'll just tell. Anyway, we're gonna go up to trappers. Let's not get caught up in that stuff. Sometimes there's a corpse here. I think they may have removed that. Anyway, we're going up here to the trappers, all the way up here. And now you can see you're actually warming up as well. 2 degrees, that's nice. Late in the day, the later in the day it is, the warmer it is. The coldest part of the day is the morning, because then it's basically been cold the whole night. And then it slowly gets colder throughout. Yeah, it's colder at night, and then the morning is the coldest, and it starts getting warmer and warmer throughout the day. Once it hits evening, it starts getting colder. Okay, so here we have Trapper's Cabin. The icon base of the Long Dark. Basically the first base ever built. Used to be my favorite base, and it still probably is. But at the moment it's just dead. So there's not really any animals here. There's deer that sometimes spawn. There's no rabbits. If you do a map, you'll see on the map it says there's a rabbit grove. But the rabbits never spawn. For some reason they're disabled. There used to be a moose spawn here and a bear spawn, and both are just rarer now. So this kind of like, meh, why go here sort of thing. Okay, anyway, this is Trappers. This is a used to be a great location. Now it's okay, but it still has good loot in it. So let's go inside. For our purposes is the hammer. There we are. So again, the stuff you can loot here, like you can check under here, you can get some ketchup chips and
thank you.
Peaches, sardines. We can open this too, I guess. Look under here for tools. Don't see any hammer, I'm afraid, or hacksaw for that matter. So bad luck today. We got sewing kit though. This is the magical bed. If you sleep in this, you heal 5% more than you would anywhere else. More books. That's pretty much it. Okay, this torch can blow out. That's okay. We're going to now open this. For some reason, you never opened a safe before. It's pretty easy. You just go left, right, left. So you click left. And then it starts turning the numbers, and then you want to find the right number, and then you hear click, and it'll show the unlock symbol. And you just do it slow enough. There's a pretty safe margin of error on how to do this. There, okay, I was too fast. 31, right? Then you just go back to 0. Don't exit. If you exit, it will restart the code. It will make a new one. So you go to 31, and now you go the other direction. So you find the next one, and what you can actually do is like, well, that was lucky. Do it fast until you find it. So that was 21. And then you go until you see the next one there, 36. And then you open it. Jeans. Gunpowder. Old jeans. Okay. The stuff we could do here, for example, I could break down these shoes, which take forever to do, but then you get cured leather, which you can use to repair these shoes. But there's a chance you will fail that. Let's just eat these ketchup chips to celebrate. So now we're basically a day and a half into Interloper, or a bit less than that, but we have survived the 1 day. If this is you, what do you do now? Well, now, congrats, you got the achievement, you are on your way, and if you look, everything is white, right? Everything, the meters look good. You can just hold on to your food until you sleep next. In fact, all you really need is like 6 cattails per night. So this actually, in theory, this would sustain us for like 4 days or something like that, maybe even more, because we have these, say 5 days. If you only ate when sleeping, water would run low, but you can just make water by the fire, you know. Or go to the next place that has toilets, like in Milton, for example. There'll be lots of toilets. So there's that. So you're doing quite well with that stuff. So the plan now is, unless you want to stay here and do fishing or something, or just grab rabbits, you need to find a hammer. Now the hammers will spawn here and there. In Mystery Lake, the best bet is places like Trappers, Lookout Tower, the dam, but it could be somewhere else that I haven't looked, by all means. You also want to check places like Pleasant Valley. You can find it, for example, in the barn, that sort of thing. And actually, a good reason to go to Pleasant Valley is that you have the plane crash. The plane crash there has a lot of clothing. Pick that up, and you get really good clothing really early. You'll be nice and warm for the time being. That's if you spawn in or near Pleasant Valley, there is a reason that maybe you should go there. You can also find hammers at the summit, for example, which you might want to do early, maybe if you want to. Ash Canyon, it can be on Blackrock, there can be one. It varies where they are on the map, but most regions have a chance of getting one. But you just got to look everywhere, look in all the landmarks, basically, is what you're going to do. Right. However, if you're stuck and can't find one, or just don't want to look around, you can do what I sometimes do is, because I can't be able to memorize all the hammer locations, is I go to Hashtra Valley. Hashtra Valley is a little bit intimidating if you don't know it, but I have several videos where I show how to navigate Hashtra Valley. Hashtra Valley hasn't really changed throughout the years. Despite the patches that changed wildlife refresh and loot refresh, didn't really impact Interloper that much. So it's more or less, even the videos I have that are years old are still good for this. What you can do is go there, because that's one place that has a guaranteed hammer, the same place every time, and that is the signal fire. You go to Hashtra Valley, keep an eye out for a fire in the distance, a big fire, and that fire has the hammer always. So just you got to make your way there. So what you could do if you're in this situation now, you're here in Trapper's cabin, you couldn't find a hammer. You can choose what to do. You could make your way to, what some people do is they go to the destination point, and it is hope they find a hammer in Coastal Highway. And there's a decent chance you will. If you check the fishing huts and the workbenches, as well as the cars there, you can actually maybe find a hammer. Quonset. If you go to Quonset, make sure you check around Quonset. It can be on barrels around Quonset. So just what some people do is they make to a destination point and just hope they find it along the way. And then they forge in the Riken, the destination point, which you can do, of course. But if you want to be guaranteed and you feel up for it, what you could do from here is go into Milton or Mountain Town, and that entrance is right here. Right here next to Trappers. It is over there. See this cave? By the tree? Right there where my thumb is. That's a cave. That cave goes to Milton. And in fact, if you haven't found matches yet, go through that cave and you end up in the sort of climbing area. There's a cave there that has guaranteed matches. And then you get out of that climbing area, you get to the picnic area, careful, could be a moose there, and you have the whole of Milton to loot. So even if it's not looking great, you're in Milton. You can loot the gas station, you loot Grandmother's house, you can loot Paradise Meadows Farm. bunch of random buildings and the Milton post office and the bank. Mountain Town has tons of buildings you can loot. So you're really set if you go to Milton. And then once you're through Milton, what you can do is go to Hush River Valley. And if you're a bit scared of Hush River Valley, well, you can look up a guide or just take your time, navigate carefully. Because even though there's no buildings in Hush River Valley except for the bunker, there are a lot of caves. And there's a lot of loot scattered around here and there. But what you really want to do is just look out for the smoke. Find the signal fire and head up to that. And you will find a hammer. Once you have that, you head to the forge, which will be Fallen Muskeg. So that's what I would do from here. Now, if you watch this far and you feel like, great, I now know how to survive the beginning, the spawn of an Interloper run, and I've survived the day and I got the achievement, I get the gist of it, thank you, Zach. Then I say thank you for watching, and it's been great to do this, and I hope you feel better playing Interloper now. But if you want to see how it goes further, I do have, of course, several videos on that. The most recent and therefore most relevant one is one I made in mid-2025, which covers everything from spawn to hunting. And I basically survived 20 days of Interloper from spawn in that video, all the way up to hunting, you know, bear and wolves, and I think I had the moose as well. So I do pretty much everything in that video. So if you want to see in practice where it is from there on, you can check out that video, or you can watch my Road to 500 Days series, which is, as of this recording, is on day 300, 300 days of Interloper. So you could go there and check out that as well. So there's multiple ways to go from here if you want to see more videos on how to progress from Interloper beyond day one. But for the purpose of this video, I just want to say and show you how to survive a spawn, an Interloper. How to just get past the hurdle of day one, you know. And as I showed you, map knowledge helps, but if you don't know where things are, just go around, loot every shelter you can find. If you're in a blizzard, take shelter, wait it out. Follow roads, follow train tracks, check every building, because they also will give you warmth. What kills you in Interloper is not food or water, it is the cold that kills you. Wolves are okay once you have fire, and if you don't have fire, just avoid them or throw stones at them, you know? And or avoid them. There's many things you can do. So I hope this video, well, probably not the perfect guide. It's very hard to make the perfect walkthrough because it depends so much on where you spawn. And but I tried to kind of like pseudo pretend I didn't know the map. And again, in this particular case, pretty much the railroad tracks guided you everywhere, except for trappers.
For a drink right now.
But yeah, so that was surviving day one of Interloper. And I hope you feel better about it if you're doing it yourself. If you've already done it and you're a veteran and just a regular viewer, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you want to see more, check out my channel. I got lots more of these sort of videos. And I'll see you next time. Good luck in your own adventures. And I wish you all the best, regardless of whether it's Interloper or Pilgrim. Don't let anyone tell you how to play. You should play this game however you see fit, and you should have fun doing it. And that's it, really. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Alright. Bye-bye.